Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this magnificent, fantastical, wonderful show! And come with us on a merry ride throughout Niagara! The show is about to begin. Music! Music! Joe? Joe is our musician. He plays these things. I don't know what they're called, and I don't know how to play them. On the count of three, could everyone yell, Joe? 1, 2, 4. Joe! Oh, there he is. Thank goodness he arrived. We'd have to do it a cappella.
Oh, yeah.
Rock and roll, everyone. Rock and roll.
Over easy and 10's over Starbucks. Any day. Fish for a Thursday, beats on a Friday, heavy duty park, cause it's always raining every golly darn day. I've got tourists in my garden, Classic Rock is on the hill, McDonald's on the corner, and 2 arenas in downtown Virgil. I got my bike trail, dog trail, horse trail, don't forget the roundabout. Oh, it's jolly being a Canadian in the 21st century. It's jolly being a Canadian, that's a fact. It's jolly being a Canadian in the 21st century. We can thank John and McDonald for that. We got bylaws, in-laws, outlaws, tree laws, noise laws, and old townies. Oh, how they love to shout. We got jet boats, sailboats, paddle boats, yoga, actors acting at the Value Mart, and the Honorable Patrick Dart. We got conservationists, preservationists, developers, Girl Guides, Boy Scouts, Janice Thompson,
Lincoln and Welling,
Fife and Drum,
The Sand Trap, Angel, Silks,
Steve Goldberger,
and a community with a great big heart. I've got tourists in my garden, Isaac Brock is on the hill, McDonald's on the corner, and 2 arenas in downtown Virgil. I got my bike trail, dog trail, horse trail, don't forget the roundabout. Oh, it's jolly being a Canadian in the 21st century. It's jolly being a Canadian, that's a fact. It's jolly being a Canadian in the 21st century. We can thank John and McDonald for that.
Stop. Now then. We have other stories to tell besides that jolly one. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Step right up. Oh, how nice of you to join us. Come with us on a journey of Confederation, revelation, exclamation. Stories from this country, from this province, and maybe you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, we'll treat you kindly.
One, two, three, 4.
Welcome to Confederation, here we go. 1867 is the year to know. Doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. The natives gave us all this land for clothing and a song. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 150 years have gone by. 150 years ago since John A. MacDonald signed the papers that said,
"This is the birth of a nation called Canada."
But what did that mean? To be a Canadian, who were you? There was no flag, no anthem,
No Tim Hortons. No CBC.
The hundreds of thousands of indigenous people who lived on this land for millennia, I think they knew who they were.
Yes, 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 but they didn't count.
Boo! No, not then. But together with a few other things, you did take the word Canada from us.
Ooh.
That is a Haudenosaunee word.
Oh, I like that. That's very good.
Excuse me, and like the French have been here since like forever, right? Like the 1600s already. They're positively ancient. What's the big deal?
Yes, but they didn't count either.
Boo!
Oh, but the voyagers were so incredibly exciting. Imagine fur traders in the wild, man against nature, strong and brave and kind of cute.
All right, all right.
Indeed! Aren't you meant to be my wife in this scene?
Right.
And to get back to your question, what does it mean to be a Canadian? It means we had to be a nation. That's what I had to do. Create a new identity, a new brand from coast to coast to coast. But that George Brown, he was nothing but trouble with that thing he called a newspaper, the Globe.
Good thing you both had strong wives that kept you two in order. Indeed.
Yes, yes, thank you, my dear. But do you have any idea how difficult it was?
Well, yes, actually, your United Parliament wasn't really working.
Thank you, dear. As I was saying, we had this united parliament with Canada West and Canada East, and equal votes between the two sides.
Yes, but the English population was growing and they had a lot to say.
Yes, yes, and they had the same amount of votes as the French. I know.
And you know how the English are, they have to be in control, like certain husbands.
Well, so did the French. And George Brown and his English reformers didn't like that.
Representation by population.
That's all we heard night and day.
Representation by population.
We were stuck between the conservatives and the reformers. What we needed was a coalition, not just East and West. We needed the Maritimes. We needed it to be a true confederation. We'd be a stronger union together. We could defend, grow, build a railroad.
Oh, hold on, I gotta get my kilt on. Well, you better move fast because our American neighbors have their eye on this land and time is of the essence. But each province must be able to govern its own local affairs.
Okay, excuse me. Kind of like what the First Nations communities continue to do today.
Good point. Well, I thought I knew what we needed, but that George Brown was in my way. Of course, I had my brilliant dear George Etienne Cartier. Together, we were the greatest political partnership in Canadian history. But we had to deal with that other George Brown.
Ha!
Oh, Mr. Brown,
What can I do?
tell me where a coalition can be found.
Well, that's a job.
I know you've got the key to what the country needs from me, but I can't move if you're not on my side.
Dear Mr. Mack,
Say your piece.
the Reform Party will bite you in the back.
If I let them.
English, French should always stay separated all the way. A coalition, it will never work.
Oh, Mrs. Brown, Lady Agnes, only you can bring your husband all round. Don't I know it? Now this land is ours to fill. What we don't use, our neighbors will. Confederation means it could be us. Dear Lady Mac, not quite my name. Together we can keep them both on track. Yes, I agree. No bishops, popes, or church and state. Vote for everyone in place. Rabbi Pop, I
put a smile on the Georgie's face.
Oh, George, my friend.
If you say so.
Our differences, I know that we can mend.
Over a drop of them all?
Our wives say we must make a pact with Cartier's 23 top hats to seal the British North American Act.
yes, you can do it.
We'll seal the British North American. 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 We'll seal the British North American.
I'll drink to that!
Oh, but be prepared, Sir John A. Macdonald, for history to find out all your faults, though, just saying. Oh, and did you decide who or what was a Canadian? Well, I was rather proud of you, though, I have to say. I suspect those Fenian raids actually helped the cause. Rather timely when you think of it, all of those Irish coming up from America trying to blackmail us for Ireland's sake. But it did show how a union working together would be stronger, just like you said, and the next invasion might just be the Americans themselves, right?
That's why we need a railroad. Trains move troops, not just passengers and fruit. And if we want this country to be unified, we must be connected.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you, John, for that. For the Canadian Pacific Railroad. We were riding the train out to West BC, and oh, how I wanted the mountains to see. Back in the train, I couldn't feel the air, but up in the engine, it blew through my hair. Then I saw an even niftier little bee. Up in the engine, a seat just for me. Alack, the superintendent did not approve. But what could you expect from a little prude? In the cow catcher, he said, you could end up dead. I hastened to ask of my husband, the PM, because back in the day, you had to pretend to ask them. Lucky for me, he was enjoying his gin, and he waved me off with a benevolent grin, and that's how it all began. And now I'm Agnes in the cow catcher, riding the rails out west. I see the mountains as they come around each corner. This is the absolute best. There I was, in front of the engine, sitting in this little box here. A 60-ton locomotive stretched out behind me, and I got nothing to fear, 'cause I am Agnes in the cow catcher, riding on the CP train. Agnes in the cow catcher, got my brolly in case it rains. I wave thank you to all y'all who built this, and the 600 Chinese who are dead. Closed my eyes when I saw the little piglets, but they hit the superintendent instead. Tried to make me move when we came to the fire, and I said, no, sirree. Well, ma'am, he said, we're gonna have to rush it, and I said, yippee-i-oh, because I am Agnes in the cow catcher, riding on the CP train. Agnes in the cow catcher, got my brolly in case it rains. Agnes in the cow catcher, riding on the CP train. Agnes in the cow catcher, got my brolly in case it rains. Agnes in the cow catcher, Agnes in the cow catcher, Agnes in the cow catcher.
That's a true story! That's a true story! The railroad says a lot about who we are! Well done to us, my dear!
Well, not so much about the 2 million or so Métis, Haudenosaunee, Ojibwe, Cree. And did you know that when you were building this railroad, you were destroying traditional cultures? Just saying.
All right. Well, moving on. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, we knew who we were because we knew who we weren't. If we hadn't known who we weren't, we wouldn't have been who we were when we had to be who we were when we weren't who we were when we were not who we were. The point is, we're not American.
But you still didn't know what you were going to do about the Indian question, did you? And all our land. Because... Put your arms around me, Johnny, hold me tight. Hurry up and take this land with all your might. Oh, won't you put some in reserve?
Even though we don't deserve.
Yes, this land was theirs in the first place, but I guess it's okay if you
Eliminate.
Oh, we never knew anyone like you.
Oh, yes, round of applause. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. Ah, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I see now that we need to. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for me, as a aging, disheveled bureaucrat, to introduce the Confederation Antique Roadshow! Ah, yes. And here we have, 1920, the Indian Act. As you can see, this highly regarded, fashionable example of Victorian Enlightenment dates all the way back to 1876 and is in near perfect condition. It has weathered the ages, withstood some minor faults, and has even undergone some exacting modifications. Yet, as you gaze upon this prized document, the result, I might add, of nearly 40 years of meticulous debating, consider the words introduced by Alexander Mackenzie.
The explorer.
No.
The composer.
No.
The Australian cricket champ.
No, you don't.
The bricklayer?
Yes, and proud of it. Alexander Mackenzie, Canada's second Prime Minister, a stonemason, and a Liberal Prime Minister after John A. got the boot.
But I came back.
Yes, you did, in time to make sure these words were adhered to.
The great aim of our legislation has been to do away with the tribal system and assimilate the Indian people in all other respects with the other inhabitants of the Dominion as speedily as they are fit to change. In this year of our Lord, 1876, the Indian Act is finally introduced to assimilate and colonize First Nations peoples.
Come, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any bids? Any bids? Any bids at all? We have to sell this antique. Any bids? Any bids? Any bids? Let us look closely at the design and execution of this splendid statute, so loved by Sir John A. Macdonald. Oh, and how can you forget, ladies and gentlemen, the loving and added touches by none other than Confederation poet and lifelong star bureaucrat, Duncan Campbell Scott.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Keep that coming. Oh, yeah. I was a star bureaucrat. Thank you. The Onondaga Madonna by myself, Duncan Campbell Scott. She stands full-throated and with careless pose. This woman of a weird and waning race, the tragic savage lurking in her face, where all her pagan passion burns and glows. Right. As the Deputy Superintendent of the Indian Department, all I did was continue the work of my esteemed ancestors. It was an honor and a privilege to oversee the total assimilation of the Indian people. They were, after all, doomed savages.
It's fine. It's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian Act.
Created Indians and reserves.
And residential schools.
Denied status to any women marrying non-Indian.
Not allowed to speak native languages.
Not allowed traditional customs.
Created new European names.
Required passes and permissions to leave the reserve.
Expropriated and relocated.
Illegal to have legal representation.
Control of governance and all communal monies.
And so, yes, ladies and gentlemen, this eensy-weensy, roly-poly piece of papier was designed to subjugate, disintegrate, eliminate, and assimilate. So give it up, ladies and gents, for the Indian Act.
Not allowed to pray, not allowed to be, not allowed to say, the world is not allowed to see.
Squaw, squaw, they call her squaw. She's out the door. They call her squaw.
We move, we fall, we scatter. Residential school don't matter. Remember what took place. Erase a race like Molly Brand and her daughters. Half-breed, hybrid, quiet too long, don't speak.
Squaw, squaw, they call her squaw. She's out the door. They call her squaw.
Resist, rebel, resurge, restore evidence and preserve. FISA now is education, hashtag communication, acts of genocide, push aside, quiet too long, don't speak.
be staying with us, sir. The Queen's Royal Hotel is always pleased to see their favorite guests, sir, yes. How was the journey here, madam? Are you here for the Canadian Open? The international tennis tournament's absolutely one of my favorite attractions, madam. Yes, absolutely a must-see. Yes, we're expecting Miss Maud Osborne. Miss Maud Delano Osborne again before trial matches begin. Oh, pardon me. Oh, how was the journey from Chicago, sir? You'll see there's been a lot of improvements since last time you were here, sir. Yes, the gas lights are no longer leaking, sir. Yes, can you imagine the Duke and Duchess of York, the future King and Queen of Britain, had to sit on the veranda all night? Oh, thank you, boys. Luggage to room 22. Yes, you're the third steamboat today. Oh, Mr. Roosevelt's secretary left you a message. It's right here. Oh, Mr. Tesla left you a telegraph, sir. Sir, a telegraph. It's right here. Oh, Madam, Mr. O'Malley would be pleased if you would have dinner with him tonight. He would be thrilled, yes. Oh, yes, golf. Golf is out that way, madam. Yes, just past the tennis. It's on the far side. His bowling is on the other side. Yes, do watch your step. Mr. Elliott's sailboats are for rental, sir, at the bottom of the hill. Yes, be careful, sir. The lake is filled with steamboats, fishing boats, and barges all the time. We do apologize for the constant audible stimulation. Your carriage has arrived, madam. And yes, sir, yes, tonight. Let me see, what do we have? We have whitefish, perch, pickerel, or sturgeon. Yes, fresh from the lake, sir. Yes, very good. Oh, yes, luggage to the third floor, please. You're very close to the water closets up there, sir. Very, very close. Yes, the orchestra will be playing soon. Yes. The Saturday night hop will begin almost immediately.
One night in 1874, 7 privileged young men sailed out of Toronto's Royal Canadian Yacht Club. They had taken one of their father's yachts, a 30-foot centerboard sloop, and this boat, it was called the Foam. Their young ladies were waiting, and it was a fine night for sailing. And they were bankers, boys, they were bankers, boys, they were bankers, boys, oh. So smart and a little bit carefree, with money and life and ladies, on their way to the Queen's Royal Saturday hop, and the Foam was a beautiful lady. Yes, she was. They were bankers, boys, they were bankers, boys, they were bankers, boys, oh. 11th of July, 1874, when they set sail from Toronto. 7 young men with 2 brothers aboard, and the Foam was a dangerous lady. Yes, she was. Elizabeth and Dee Dee Chittenden were 2 southern sisters awaiting for William and Charles on their dancing cards, but the Foam was a jealous lady. Yes, she was. These boys were heirs to plenty, and they sang with punch and revelry, but an easterly wind rolled over their songs, and the Foam was a bitter lady, and the Foam was a bitter lady. As the storm wind blew Niagara, other boats turned in for cover, but the lights that were bobbing red and green was the Foam in her last splendor. Yes, it was. Mrs. Braddon, Mrs. Vernon, Mrs. Taylor, your sons are missing too. Mrs. Henderson and Mrs. Murray, and Mrs. Anderson you lost too. They were bankers, boys, they were bankers, boys, they were bankers, boys, oh. They were bankers, boys, they were bankers, boys, laid to rest rest at St. Mark's in a row.
Michigan Central, leaving for Niagara Falls in 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 15 minutes, carriages are waiting.
The Michigan Central Railroad, the only way to travel. The quickest and fastest route to Niagara Falls, Buffalo, and all points east, south, and west. We also offer 3 express trains in each direction daily. The Erie and Ontario are now your very own Michigan Central Railroad. So bye-bye, Pony Express, and hello, Michigan Iron Horse. Tickets available at any reputable hotel. And don't forget, every single train stops at the Niagara Falls View Station for everyone to enjoy the full magnificence of the falls. Tickets available at any reputable hotel.
Yes, and it stops for a ridiculously long 5 minutes.
And for all you lucky lovers of the train, we offer close, intimate connections to the Niagara docks at the magnificent steamers of the Niagara Navigation Company. Tickets available at any reputable hotel.
Good evening, folks. My name is Mr. Patty Miles. Can I hear you say my name, Patty Miles?
Patty Miles.
All right, that was pretty good, but you can do better. Let's hear it again. Patty Miles.
Patty Miles.
Oh, that was good. That was some real good sounds in my ears. You're making me go crazy here. Let me hear you one more time. 1, 2, 3.
Patty Miles.
All right. Thank you, folks. All right. Well, this here's the Erie and Ontario Railway to me, and I'm not waiting any longer. You can have your Michigan hoo-ha if you want to. You're welcome to it. But me, I've got a schedule and a future to keep on track. I'm the conductor of the Patty Mouse Express. The Erie and Ontario bore my name. My bleak black beauty gal was the Buffalo Niagara train. She'd take you places east, south, north, and west. Up, 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 going up that hill. Push, 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 like an old sawmill. We're heading down that track and there ain't no turning back. Oh, my name ain't Patty Miles on that there is. In 1854, Samuel Zimmerman built this track down King Street's Niagara docks. His trains brought people, goods, and money back till his train went off a bridge onto some rocks. So you better up, 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 going up that hill. Push, 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 right on Sawmill. We're coming down that track and there ain't no turning back. Oh, my name ain't Patty Miles on that there is. Up, 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 going up that hill. Push, 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 right on Sawmill. We're coming down that track and there ain't no turning back. Oh, my name ain't Patty Miles on that there is. Yeah! All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Miles, can I have your autograph, sir? It's for our mayor, little Patty Dart. He comes to all the events. It'd be nice to give him a souvenir.
Thank you, that is mine. Scribbles on it. Oh, excuse me. My name is Elizabeth Asher. I'm doing a story for the St. Catharines Standard. I know everyone's gaga over the trains, but they didn't last, did they? Now everyone wants them back. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo? Whoop-de-doo? Are you denigrating the enormous impact railroads had on Niagara? I'll have you know that in 1959 there were 6 trains running there daily.
Yes, but they weren't all carrying passengers, were they?
What did you say your name was?
Asher. Elizabeth Asher.
Asher!
Yes, I'm doing some research on those magnificent steamships, as she called them, and one in particular, the Cayuga. Is that the file?
No.
On the Cayuga?
It's a file on Elizabeth Asher. This way, please. Come. This way. Walk this way. Over here. Past here.
Do I have to
Around
actually
here.
walk
Right.
in?
Sit right here, okay? All right. Say your first and last name.
I'm the one doing the interview.
Curator, member, and regent of the Niagara Historical Society for 14 years.
Yes!
Director of the Niagara Agricultural Society.
Also, yes.
During the Great War, took a vital interest in the well-being of the Polish arm. Which arm? Left arm? Right arm? Which
Not arm, you numbskull. It's clearly missing a Y. Army.
I knew that.
I'm sure you did.
And the entire Polish nation?
Yes, if we could
Made
please
a life member of the Polish White Cross Society, the women's section of the National Polish Relief Committee, awarded the Cross of the Order of Polonia
Restitutia.
I knew that as well.
I'm sure you did.
Cross of Merit and...
Could we please get back to the steamships? I'm doing an article for the Gazette and the Standard. Did you know that nearly 30,000 passengers use those steamships every day?
Impossible.
Well, exactly. But true. Every day. You have to wonder if there are enough bathrooms for them all. It's a parking problem of a different kind, isn't it?
Quite, madam.
Quite. Quite.
Steamships!
Is this going to take very long? Because I can go elsewhere to find what I need for this article.
The Niagara Navigation Company, 1877.
Yes, exactly, that's it. 1877. See, they purchased the Chippewa, the Corona, the Chicora, but the most famous of them all was the Cayuga. From 1906 to 1957, she carried more than 15 million passengers. Thousands of soldiers, countless tons of Niagara fruit, vegetables, vehicles, and cargo to points north, east, west, across Lake Ontario. This is exactly what I need. So glad I had patience for you, numbskull. Oh, and look, postcards from passengers.
Dear Jim, got hired on the Cayuga. They put me on moonlight cruises for 7 days a week till school starts, making $5 a week. Doing the round trip to Niagara, Queenston, Lewiston, back to Niagara, and then home to Toronto. One of the crew went diving at Lewiston, and he never came back up. Too bad. He missed a great band. Anyway, the band played all the way to Toronto, and the passengers danced from 9 p.m. till 2:30 a.m. See you soon, your sleepy friend, Jack.
Dear Amy, you missed a wonderful party. I never thought my 21st would be so exciting. We arrived in Queenston on the Cayuga and took a train to Niagara Falls. Can you imagine? We met 4 soldiers, well, Air Force men, still in their uniform, just got back from overseas. We went home on the midnight cruise, and the band was heavenly. We danced together the whole way to Toronto, although we wanted to get off in Niagara-on-the-Lake and stay there, but don't tell Mother. Love, Ruth.
Dear Mother and Dad, got a new gig playing with Diro Kun's orchestra on the Cayuga. First trip out was really rough, and I was quite ill. But I'll get used to it. Next month, I'm playing with Lloyd Cooper's band, so the old trumpet is getting well used. Yesterday, I must have thrown $2 in coins to the kids who come swimming around the ship at Niagara. They call to us as the boat leaves the dock and swim right up beside us. Crazy kids! Love, your son, Olaf.
Dear Auntie Jo, I'm here at the military camp. We're the first girls here. The trip to Niagara was terribly rough, and everyone was leaning over the rails, feeding the fish. And not me, I ate the whole time. I bought a box of Cracker Jack popcorn, and inside was a prize. A pair of sheer nylon stockings. I don't think I'll need them in the Army, though, do you? There was official welcome for us at the dock, and the whole town seemed to be there, and then marched with us back to the camp. Right soon, Margaret.
Dear Jim, next time I'm going to get 8 quarters in my mouth. That's $2. Bet you can't do that. Did you see that dollar bill floating down from the second deck? I couldn't get my teeth on it. Next time, let's get behind the propeller and see how far it can push us down the river. Practice your diving. See you on the weekend. Terry.
That's how all the recruits for Niagara Camp came here, you know. Steamships and trains for both wars. Nearly 100,000 came to Niagara for their basic training. Niagara Camp didn't just transform the Commons, it changed this town, young man. It gave it a life of military urgency. Patriotism was everywhere. That's Niagara for you.
It says here you were a Florence Nightingale to more than 22,000 Polish-American volunteers who arrived in 1917. You're a nurse, too?
Don't be silly. I just did what had to be done. They were going over there to fight for their homeland. They were being trained here. Least we could do was help them. And then in 1918, the Spanish flu hit Niagara.
Not the Polish flu?
Know your history, numbskull. The Spanish flu killed 50 million people around the world. More died from the flu than the war itself. And 50,000 of those were here in Canada.
Ah. And the Polish soldiers?
33 died. There is a cemetery plot dedicated to them at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church. A little piece of Poland. They're honored every single year on Polish Sunday.
It says here that you stirred up the community, you opened up homes, turned buildings into dormitories, provided books, Polish signs, Polish music, songs. You sing in Polish?
Songs during the war were very special, young men. Are you all ready? A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, although in reveille. He's a boogie bugle boy from Company B. A doodly goes at 8 to the bar. A boogie rhythm, he can't blow a note unless his bass guitar is playing with oh. He makes a comedy jump when he was reveille. He's a boogie bugle boy from Company B. He was some boogie bugle boy from Company B. And when he plays boogie bugle, he was busy as me. He makes a comedy jump when he plays 8 to the bar. He's a boogie bugle boy from Company B. He makes a comedy jump when he plays reveille. He's a boogie bugle boy from Company B.
All right. No music, too much singing, not enough learning. That's right. There's no singing in my classroom. No singing at all. Welcome, students. I hope you all brought your textbooks because I will be testing you today. That's right. I am the greatest teacher that has ever existed on the face of, what planet is this called? This one. All right, just to show you how brilliant I am, I will show you my times tables. 2 times 2 is 22. 2 times 2 twos is 2, 2, 2. 2 times 2, 2, 2, 2 is 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Ta-da! All right, now it's time for your ABCs, all right? Just repeat after me. A, B, C, D, 18. Ta-da! That's not right?
He's not very good at this.
You
Should
know,
we let
I
him keep
am
making
the
a fool of
teacher.
himself?
I mean,
Excuse me, teacher. We're ready now.
all right, they finished building the schoolhouse. I have them build a schoolhouse every morning before class begins. All right. Right. History. Take out your history books. Under which act did the maritime colonies and the province of Canada unite to become the Dominion of Canada?
The Quebec Act.
No.
The British North America Act.
No.
Act 2 of Heartbreak House.
Correct.
What? No.
All right. Who was the most influential George in Confederation?
George Brown.
No.
George Etienne Cartier.
No.
George Bernard Shaw.
Correct.
What? That's not right. Why him?
Question number 3. Who was the most influential woman in Canadian politics?
Molly Brant.
No.
Agnes MacPhail.
No.
Janice Thompson.
Correct. Yeah!
That's not right. Yeah. He's bribing him.
All right,
I told you he was bribing him.
Time out. Stop it. Oh. See what happens? See what happens with the horseplay?
Lay
Right.
off, guys.
Focus. Geography. He was on the floor and now he's here. Right, here we are in the arena here, and over here is 4 Mile Creek. See? Where would St. David's be without 4 Mile Creek?
Oh, St. Catherine's.
You crouton!
Oh.
The very power of all that water used to provide St. David's with its masterful, magnificent, and thriving milling center of commerce.
Wow, like back in the day.
Exactly! It was a hub of commerce, young man!
Well, it's hardly that now, is it?
You have no idea of its significance. There are grist mills, flax mills, tanneries, and distilleries all along the majestic waterway. Care to repeat what I just said?
Grist mill, sawmills,
Enough! And what's even more interesting, is that 4 Mile Creek is actually a 9 Mile Creek.
Does the advance know that?
You crouton! 4 Mile Creek is actually 9 miles long, or to be more exact, 4 Mile Creek is actually 6.4 kilometer creek. But why? Why? Oh, why is it 4 Mile Creek in the first place? Why?
Get to the point already.
Because any good soldier needed to know how far away he was from the mouth of the river. 4 Mile Creek, 4 miles to the river. And what is Crossroads?
Oh, a school.
And Lawrenceville?
A restaurant!
Virgil!
Oh.
Virgil! It's all Virgil. It could have been called Pennersville. Could have been called Epville. Or even Peter Wallville. But no, it's Virgil. Which brings us to a story, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. A story of a very special group of people. At the cannery, you can see him arrive.
A distinguished-looking man with a glint in his eye.
A Russian Mennonite with a wife named Nina.
Fought Catholics and the Bolsheviks, and his name was Peter.
It said he fought in the Russian Revolution.
Was caught twice and almost faced execution.
He went out to the prairies to settle out there.
But locusts and drought and dust filled the air for Peter. Peter Wall.
The Mennonites had nothing they could call their own.
400 years and still looking for a home.
But when Peter reached Niagara and saw this land,
He made a deal with a promise and a shake of his hand. And Peter Wall.
he could see the farms he was going to grow.
Fields of peaches with strawberries and tomatoes in rows.
And he saw how his people could survive.
Other farms on the land 10, 15 acres wide.
And with that in mind, he developed his plan.
And bought and sold to any man.
Some with money and some with not.
But he made loans and he trusted a lot to Peter. Peter Wall.
Hard-working families dug deep in the dirt.
Soon there were orchards, a school, and a church.
There was a feed mill, a butcher, Mrs. Hutchinson's candy.
The penners, the barbershop, and of course the cannery.
The Mennonite farmers, they knew this land.
They turned the soil with hard-working hands.
And business and banking and commerce all grew.
Thanks to that vision and trust from someone they knew. Peter Wall. Peter Wall. We are one. We are many. We are one. Give to you. Give to many. Give to some. Here in a place where the people do care, but it's not always easy.
No, not always easy, and not always fair. Look at us, we are old, we are young. From away, many places we have come. We are different altogether. That's what makes us so much better. We are one, more than one, altogether. So remember, believe in the memories we're building, the lives that we share in. We are different altogether, and that's what makes us so much better. Together, 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 together.
From a past rooted in pain, I rise. Into the daybreak that we hope is clear, I rise. Bringing with me the gifts that my ancestors gave, I rise.
Together, together, together. Welcome to Confederation, here we go. 150 years of history, here's what we know. Reconciliation in our nation isn't far, and now it's up to all of us, we have to play our part. And now it's up to all of us, we have to play our welcome to Confederation. Here we go, 150 years of history, here's what we know. Reconciliation in our nation isn't far, and now it's up to all of us, we have to play our part. And now it's up to all of us, we have to play our part. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming and for staying. Yes, thank you. If you have any questions about the show, our wardrobe, the set pieces, or even if you don't like the show and you have some criticism, please send it to our writer and director, Barbara Worthy. Please don't bug us about it, okay? Barbara Worthy, writer and director, not me. Let me introduce you. You've been entertained by yours truly, the ever so weird and wonderful Edwin Conroy Jr. Thank you. Oh yes, thank you. And over here we have the fabulous Laurel Minnis. Yes. The wonderful Adrian Smoke. The dynamic Aaron Berger. And Red Hat Joe Lipinski. I know, the unflappable, magnificent. Yes. A big thanks to Cheryl and Mike Palmieri, Rob Robbins, and who else should I thank? All of you. Thank you very much. Thank you, and 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 thank you. Can't go until I thank all of you. Well, thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Enough silliness. Thank you. Enjoy your evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.